Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
Well, this one is about uniting the nation. Why can't they all get along? Yeah, why we fuss and fight? Tonight we got to unite. Mr. Marshall and Trooper, what you say?
is the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
Well, everybody, good morning to you, and of course, welcome to it. Good to have you here on the Era TT Radio, the heartbeat of the Caribbean, as we take you above and beyond. It is another beautiful, wonderful day on the outside. Got to give God thanks and praises. So thank you, dear Father, for bringing us together for another day. And all that we do, dear Father, let it be a blessing on to you. Welcome to New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. And I do hope that everybody had a really good weekend and you're ready for all the challenges that will be coming your way this week. Of course, people, I am yours truly, Sir Charles. Happy am I to be in your company. Happy am I to be with my team on the inside this morning. So let's welcome everybody to this Get Up and Go. We welcome all of you to the Breakfast Show.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Oh, good vibes rolling through the air. The Breakfast Show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Well, good morning, and welcome to the Breakfast Show on this Tuesday morning after a long weekend. And welcome wherever you are across the planet, in Trinidad and Tobago, across the planet, wherever you are. Welcome. We know you have a choice, and thanks for choosing us on this Tuesday morning. And good morning to my co-hosts, Wendell and Sir Charles. Good morning, guys.
Do that again. Wake up and do that again.
Why?
Because you sounded, I don't know. Just do it again now.
Why?
Because I say so.
Okay, you're my boss.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning to Tobago, our neighbors in the Caribbean, and our friends who are streaming all around the globe. Good day and welcome to beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Sir Charles. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over this wonderful globe of ours. That's how you do it.
Okay.
Especially after people haven't seen us for so long. You know, you want them to feel like we miss them, they miss us. You want them to feel special.
They haven't seen us for one day.
How was one day?
Just yesterday.
No, it's since Friday last. They haven't seen us.
Yeah, but their customary weekend.
You know what people go through when they don't see us, Richard, or when they don't hear?
Oh, good Lord. Tell me I'm Wendell Phillips Stephen.
Yeah, what? They're going to tell us on the chat. Tell us what you go through when you don't see us or don't hear us. Tell us. Be honest.
Yeah, Wendell can fix it.
When they come in,
I take great offense to that.
when you're coming back home,
Me and that phrase.
Wendell, when you are coming back home, those testosterone boosters that you took, we'll take a few of them, no problem.
You know what it's called? It's called Africa. That's what it's called. It's called Africa. I swear everybody should visit Africa and experience Africa and Africans in their home, in their glory. Everybody should experience it. There's no better bunch of people on planet Earth than Africans in Africa. I can't speak for them anywhere else. They see in Africa, in their environment, and I'm in a country that's 18 million people. It's 18 million of the darkest people. It's 18 million, most 94% of whom are Muslims. You know what I mean? And they speak French. So it's wild. It's wild in Senegal. It's wild. It's a place that I've not seen an unhappy person as yet. If they are, they
But doesn't Dakar have a kind of vibrant nightlife, doesn't it?
Everywhere in Senegal has a vibrant life, but Dakar does have a vibrant life, period. Not even necessarily night. Whole day.
But even though they're predominantly Muslim, they do have alcohol and stuff, don't they?
They do, because they are Christians. Muslims, of course, not allowed to partake or not allowed to sell or whatever. But they are Christians here. It's 6% Christians, eh?
Right.
So you will get alcohol selling at some places, but some places are very strict, So, but the people are just it's just such a nice bunch of people, you know what I mean? And they're so pleasant and so manly, Dakar, I mean, all over Senegal, as a matter of fact, because I've been to quite a few places since I've been here, you understand? Including we went across to Gambia yesterday. For a brief
okay. I guess there's a really easygoing, comfortable feeling.
And everybody eking out a living one way or the other. Nobody angry with nobody, And when you stop the car, sometimes on the highway, the roads, the amount of people who flood you to sell whatever produce they have, whatever they have. Because here is known for cashew nuts. I don't know if you all know that. And I really eat cashew nuts almost every day back home. So when you come here, you're in cashew nut heaven. You understand? And they will come 10 people with the same product. And nobody quarreling, they're not fighting amongst themselves, nothing. It's just a joy to see. I mean, I experienced that in Ghana too, and even briefly, even some parts of Egypt, in Cairo, but Senegal is kind of different because most people, as I said, they are Muslims and they speak French. So it's kind of unusual, It's a kind of blow mind thing now, But anyway, good morning all. Well, it's not morning. Well, it's morning here still. I'm 4 hours ahead of you all. So it's 10, just after 10 o'clock in the morning here,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I up long time. I went to the sea already. And of course, Senegal is the let me make sure I get this correct. Okay? It's the easternmost part of Africa. The Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's beautiful out here. It's really beautiful.
Okay, lovely. Well, I mean, that's kind of like good news there already. But we still have our official good news. Let's get into it.
Finally got my pro card, and of course I got the overall too. So I'm very excited about this experience. I worked very, 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 very hard for this, as anybody knows, since the bodybuilding, really work your butt off to get to here. I would say this is my hardest prep, and it's paid off. So anybody out there, if you think you're failing, keep trying, keep going. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible with some hard work. Right? So we did it. I thank my mother, I thank my family, of course the coach, and everybody else who supports me to get here today. And I want the Olympia, I'm here. So I'm so grateful for this experience, and of course, thank you to the Most High God. Always. I'm so grateful.
20 of the islands around Trinidad and Tobago.
Starting on the north coast, we have Shoro Island, which is a government-protected wildlife sanctuary.
Of the Northwest Peninsula, there are the popular Bocas Islands, which include Chakashikari, which is known mostly for its being a leopard-colored, Monos, Huevos, Gaspar Grande, and Gasparillo Island.
Next, there are the San Diego Islands, which consist of Cranston, which has been mined for its limestone, and Carrera, which has been a prison island since the late 19th century.
Next, there are the 5 islands, which is really made up of 6 islands, namely Caledonia, Craig, Pelican, Lenegan, and Rock, and the most popular, Nelson, which was the immigration stop for indentured laborers.
Just off the coast of San Fernando, there is Parliamentary Rock, and 10 kilometers off Icacos Point is Saltado Rock,
which was originally a possession of the Venezuelan government, but became part of the territory of TNT in 1942.
Over to Tobago. Off the coast of Speyside, there is Goat Island and Little Tobago, which are home to some of the most beautiful diving sites in the world. Just off the northeastern tip,
There's St. Giles Island, and directly north of Polatuguer, there's Sisters Rock. There you have it, 20 islands around Trinidad and Tobago.
Be close. So you got two sets of good news there this morning. Shane Montai winning Junior Mr. Olympia and the overall title. And of course, the 20 islands of the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. They got 2 for 1.
Yeah, man. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
You know, let me say a quick happy birthday to some people before we get into the chat. Today is the wife of our boss. Today is the birthday of the wife of our boss. All right? Denise is her name. Denise Pascal. Today is her birthday. Denise Freddy.
Yeah. Pretty Pascal.
You was wondering who it is that?
I was confused. I thought it was Sir Charles' wife.
The real boss. Nice Sir Charles boss and all. Happy birthday, Denise.
Happy birthday, Denise.
I hope Corey treats you extra special today. I know he treats you special already, but I hope he treats you extra special. All right? Also, Dada Gabriel, former councillor in Port of Spain, David Batiste, Olivia Blake, all these people I know, Asha Latash, Kakil De Souza, Anthony Webster, Keston Walker, Cornell Glenn, who used to play football for Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, what's that? Curtis Bernard, and if it's Curtis Bernard birthday, well, it's Kurt Bernard birthday too, because they are twin. And of course, over the weekend was my niece Aisha Bath, my friend and business partner Stephen Harper, and of course my very good friend out there in Toronto, Shaka Suberu. They all celebrated birthdays over the weekend. One Saturday, one Sunday, one Monday. All celebrated birthdays over the weekend. And for anybody else who celebrated birthdays over the weekend, I hope you had an absolutely fantastic time. I know it was a lot of rain in Trinidad, wasn't it?
Well, we had some rain really and true. But before we get into that, also let me send out a couple of birthday greetings to our net family. So there are a couple of people celebrating their birthday today. First of all, Captain Ron's wife, Fifi, is celebrating her birthday today.
Okay,
and
October, Captain Ron, let's have a tough time in October. His two sons and his wife all in October. Whoa.
Yeah, it's like that. So we want to wish her happy birthday from the entire crew.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hold on. I don't see a message from him actually.
No, hold on. It's my mistake. Sorry about that. I read the wrong thing. Oh, Captain Ron, I apologize. It's Mahie's birthday today. She's celebrating her birthday today. I started out right and I went wrong, so my bad there. All right. So want to wish Mahie a happy birthday today. Enjoy your day. And also, Debbie, our bottle of wine winner, Wendell.
Debbie Modest.
Yes, is celebrating her birthday today also.
Okay.
So, yeah, so happy birthday to Mahi. And of course, Debbie celebrate all their birthday in fine style today.
Right. And Captain Ronald said that the crew has only a radio in the room in Chicago, getting ready for their United Airlines flight to Chicago. To Sao Paulo, Brazil, one of the places that are on my bucket list, Brazil. So good morning to the crew of the United Airlines Flight 2, celebrating with Mahi on her 42nd birthday today. All right, happy birthday to you all. All right, so we ready for the chat?
Sorry?
Are we ready for the chat?
Oh, I just forgot to mention one important thing about Shane Montai, who won that Mr. Olympia. He went to St. Mary's College, naturally. So we could We can get into the chat now.
Montai as in Andre Montai.
I don't know if it's anybody related to Andre. Not everybody with the same surname related.
No, that's
a bad habit you have.
That's not a regular name. Montai is
so.
not a regular name. Anyway, so let's go. Suzanne Jessup. God's Almighty and His Son Jesus Christ, thank, oh Lord, start of new week. Continue to bless Sir Charles, Richard, and Wendell, well, especially Richard. Love always from Suzanne, Suzette, and Mrs. Gemma. All right. Valerie Mendoza says good morning to the breakfast team. Victor Thong says good morning, gents. Eunice Dublin, good morning. Brennan Smith, good morning to the breakfast crew. Give thanks for another day. Tall Boss, that's Miss Marvelous, Mrs. Marvelous Marva. Okay. Welcome to the chat. Ava Smith says, blessed morning, Richard, Wendell, and Sir Charles. Margaret Thomas, guys, missed you all so much yesterday. Have a blessed day. Slick Money Grip says, good morning. Boy B. Daisy from Davie. Michael Cadet. Where am I? Marlon Motley says, good morning.
Good morning, Marlon.
Sherwin and Juliet Kerr. Robert Taylor out there in Fernandina Beach.
Morning,
Mark
Robert.
Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona. Carol Guevara from Chaguanas. Trini Merle Kitchen out there in Oshawa, Ontario. Ian Stewart. Diane Payne says good morning also. Marcia Rock. Lambert Bruce from El Dorado. David Wares. David Wares, I think he's on a cruise actually.
Yeah, he is.
From the Icon of the Seas. I saw David Wares, 7,000 people on that boat in Trubine. Wow. That is a huge cruise.
Yeah.
But I know that you, your wife, and I think your daughter is also there to enjoying it tremendously. Nothing like a holiday, yes, boy? Debbie Modest, good morning, gentlemen, and it's my birthday today. All right, happy birthday, Debbie. Who knows?
Happy birthday, Debbie Moses.
Modest.
Modest.
Yeah. Crystal Stevenson says good morning also. Sandrina Bagan Charles. Amen. Good morning, guys. Wayne Ramsey out there in Fort Lauderdale. Bernadette and Alicia Yates. James Kamau. Subash in Woodland. Carol Guevara, Real Unity. Florence Bazi, blessed day to you guys and all chatters. Kenny in Harlem says good morning. Kathy Ann Charles from Cascade, and special morning to Arlene out there in Bronxville, Texas. Pearl Cordis and Stacey Ann Cordis. Diane Payne says happy birthday, Debbie. Nicola McNichol says good morning, gentlemen. Odell Guy from Sangre Grande. Oliver Manwarin, Mrs. R says good morning all. Ila Rizan Nazir Ali says good morning. Elizabeth, good morning. Richard, Wendell, and Sir Charles, love you all. The opposition was in ripping form on their response, says Florence Bazi. Well, we have actually the chairman of the People's National Movement, MP Marvin Gonzales, as our guest in the next hour, and we'll talk about the opposition's response to the budget. Mrs. Harris, when
did they respond?
Sorry?
When the opposition did they respond?
When did it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it last week Friday?
No, wasn't there a collapse? And
no, I'm saying the opposition leader spoke, eh? I don't know who else spoke.
I think it's only the opposition leader spoke. I don't think anybody else spoke.
Okay, well, we'll find out from MP Gonzales.
Anyway, yes, well, I suppose Marvin will clear that up.
Yeah, what I was all about. Wendell, what time is it now? Well, it's 4 hours later than where you are. Well, I don't know where you are actually, David.
By Wendell it's 10 a.m. By Wendell it's 10 a.m.
Yeah. Mrs. Harris speaking French. Wendell, I had no tobacco, says Suzanne. Julia Samantha. David McCarthy says good morning, maximum respect. Diane Payne, wow, I never knew that. Thanks for the good news, Richard. Yeah, the islands of the thing. When I saw that, I said we have to share that. So I didn't know all those islands and the names of Trinidad and Tobago. Ambrose Blair from New York. Jillian Dick also says today's her birthday. So happy birthday, Jillian Dick. Beautiful. Alistair Hart says good morning. And yes, when there are lots of rain. Yeah, I saw the videos from back home. Brennan Smith says in naming the islands of Tobago, they would have omitted the names of 2 Smith Island between Goodwood and Mount St. George and the island of Roxborough. Thanks for that information, Brennan. Rena Boodoo Jennings says good morning. Wendell, today is my niece Kyrie's birthday. She is 37 years, like my daughter. They are 9 days apart. So happy birthday to Kyrie, the niece of Florence Barzy. All right.
All right. Happy birthday, Kyrie.
Derek Billion also says good morning. Lester Cragwell, Trini, just Trini to BK. I don't know. Well, I'm assuming it's somebody we know. Gerald Polliner, Melchizedek, Andre Reno, GH. David Ware says 7,000 guests and 3,000 crew members. So it's actually 10,000 persons on this. Wow. Wow, that's a huge cruise you're on, brother.
It's like a small town.
I'm telling you.
That's what it is.
Yeah. GH said Saturday, I buried my mom. Very emotional moment. Our condolences go to you, GH.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. AJ Edwin. That's Damian Edwin. Oh, good morning, breakfast.
It's Amanda, my cousin.
Oh, that's Amanda. All right.
Yeah.
From both Damian and myself. All right. Thanks for that correction.
Hey, Damian, hey, Amanda.
Ambrose Blanc says quite a few members of the opposition spoke, Richard. So it wasn't just the opposition leader and 6 others spoke. So says Derek Billion. So Richard, you spread a little misinformation there.
No, there was some sort of collapse. That's what the media said.
You were suggesting that she alone spoke.
Yeah. No, well, I wasn't sure, but there was some sort of collapse because I think there were like several to speak and nobody was speaking and it just kind of ended in a kind of chaotic way with something like that happened. Yeah.
Well, the Prime Minister and all didn't even speak to anybody debate.
Yeah. It ended quickly. It ended on Friday itself.
Yeah, because government members didn't, PNM people didn't speak and government people didn't speak. So it just ended.
It just ended?
Yeah.
It was too late. It was too late. The people was tired. It was sleepy and all kind of thing. Remember, it's not a whole set of young people in the parliament, you know.
Well, clearly the inexperience shone through.
You're being very ageist there, I'm saying, child.
Yes. Yes. Deliberately so.
Natasha Scott Herbert, Gavin Frank, Patricia Defoe, Joyce Phillip, and yes, with MPs Keith Scotland, Brian Manning, Nan Gadsby Dolly, Dominic Romaine spoke. Apparently, those are the ones that spoke. All right, so thanks for that information. But we will be speaking with Marvin Gonzales in the next hour, and we will clear up a lot of those issues.
Right, so that's why I said several people didn't speak. So I think there was...
Stuart Young didn't speak.
Neither did Comimber or...
Neither did Imbert.
Yeah, so, well, Marvin himself, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody, because you would have
more experienced members of the PNM.
Yeah, you would have wanted to hear what coming, but it seemed to be some
firepower.
No, I don't want to hear what coming, but that is
firepower.
Sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud.
Some issue because according to the media reported, it seemed as if there was some issue and it collapsed. That's how it came across from
the government propaganda said the PNM collapsed, but the Prime Minister didn't speak either, and a lot of government ministers didn't speak. So you can't say the PNM collapsed, the debate collapsed.
I am going on what the media said, that they were waiting for the opposition. The opposition had a slated number of people to speak, but they did not speak because nobody came forward or some issue, and so therefore it collapsed and they just proceeded to pass the budget. Some version of that happened.
Well, if the government not speaking and saying why they present a budget and why this happening and what is the when the opposition when we speak to Marvin, we'll clear that up. Yeah. Because I don't know why the PNM couldn't speak. You know what I mean?
That's what it was kind of unusual.
Yeah. They're tired.
Oh Lord, Lord.
It was strategy that probably went awry.
Maybe it was. But he will explain it.
Yeah. Apollonius also says good morning. So Charles, you have any greetings?
Yeah, of course. So let me say good morning to Captain Ron. I want to say good morning also to Mr. Billy in Powder Magazine, to Mr. Beeps in Maraval. Debbie, good morning. Happy birthday. Archbishop Ashton Clark in Canada, good morning. And Carlin in Caranage, probably on his way to work. Good morning to you. Kent in Laventel, Virginia. Ron DeSantis, good morning. Mahi, good morning. Happy birthday to you. Horatio in Arima, good morning, and condolences to Horatio on the passing of his mom. And also Far Rockaway is on this morning. Yeah, those are the people that we have on the stream. And good morning to all the people at Kyle.
Sir Charles, Horatio is the person texting us GH then?
Probably, I'm not sure.
Well, I guess so, because because that person texted Saturday I buried my mom, very emotional moment.
Yeah, well then it's probably yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. So it's maybe one and the same person. All right.
Yeah.
So those are our greetings this morning. What do you want to do now, sir?
Well, we have to pay some bills and then we'll be back.
All right.
Let's go.
Pay $1 down on higher purchase plans at Furniture Plus. Enjoy fast approval, low interest rates, and up to 36 months financing. Retirees, self-employed, and permanent employees apply today. Buy now, pay later with Furniture Plus credit plans. Conditions apply.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davantry tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
The public is demanding it, so the laughter continues. Your Dolly Fowl to Watch Corn is now at Central Bank Auditorium for 2 nights only. Saturday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the play that some say is the funniest of all time. Tickets available now online and at the usual outlets. And from Monday, October 20th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily at the Central Bank box office. Your Dolly Fowl to Watch Corn has been matching up audiences.
Of course, you don't leave foul to watch corn. Tickets are on sale at all the usual outlets and at the box office at Central Bank Auditorium from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily, as well as purchasing tickets online. Of course, the outlets, in case you didn't know: K Squared Fashions, West Mall, East Gates, and Brentwood Mall in Chagonas, Jabili Rawi in Tunapuna, Electronics, for those of you in the Arima area. That's where you can get your tickets. And of course, Charmflair Auto Services and Antoni's Florals in Valpark Shopping Plaza, for those of you in that area. Those are the places where you can get your tickets. Get them early. I think these are our final 2 shows in Port of Spain. I don't think we come back to Port of Spain. So these are our final 2 shows in Port of Spain. You don't leave out to watch corn. We've been having such a fantastic time, and we're so looking forward to being back at Central Bank this weekend.
Yeah, all right. Well, we could get into the newspapers, and Andre is saying, if you remember, there was a budget debate too with Mr. Imbert, who wrapped up a budget debate early too in the Parliament. when he was Minister of Finance. That I remember that happening. Thanks for reminding us, Andrew. Yeah, budget debate was rapidly in the Parliament under him, but also.
I remember that.
It's too much. You see, Parliament. You see the tune. Sir Charles at 7 o'clock explain a tune for me, right? Kicks in Parliament, right? Play that. All right. So, Express online stories today. Amid U.S. security alert, PM tries to calm tensions. Did she actually speak eventually? The Prime Minister issued a statement eventually?
She said something. I don't know if she actually spoke, but I saw something in the media.
Okay.
I'm not so sure she actually spoke.
That's what I'm saying, because there was talk over the last few days
I'm not sure if she does statement. Yeah, I know there was a lot of talk about that she wasn't, well, the government generally wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, she had deferred to the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah, which was crazy. Why would you defer to them?
Yeah.
Because you have to tell us what's going on.
Yeah. All right.
That was kind of a bungled communications issue, in my opinion.
We're going to poll that today. We're going to poll that today. Trinity Mall buyers back out. More pro football games for Tobago. Some other trending stories. Thousands of jobs come in. That's an interesting story. Tree attacked, robbed on Lady Young Road. Don't look at my face. I don't want to shoot you, says a bandit apparently in a $40,000 bar robbery. A bar have $40,000 at one time. Wow. Body found behind Diego Martin Borough Administration building, and family tied up and robbed in fishing pond. Those are all trending stories in today's Express. All right.
All right, so the news for today.
I found you late.
OG tells law students confront anarchy and restore order in society. Diwali persists despite flood cleanup in Rusalak. Point Fortin infant dies at home. Trinidad and Tobago stands firm with U.S. on regional security. Did I miss any? Adverse weather alert extended to 10 p.m. on Monday. Reopening the hotel school. And that's basically it. A lot of the main stories. So over to you and the Guardian, Sir Charles.
All right, so let's see what's going on in the Guardian today. Prime Minister reassures public amid U.S. advisory, government and I are working to keep you safe. And then there's another story that says PM doesn't care if TNT loses regional support for UN Security Council bid. I don't know who's actually saying that. Mother of U.S. airstrike victim leaves government in God's hands. Regional analyst warns TNT's foreign policy in dangerous territory. 30,000 apply in 24 hours via national recruitment drive. And Munilal gets refinery report, promises exciting news soon. All right, so
coming back to that question you just brought up, Sir Charles, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Amy Brown, has slammed the government for isolating Trinidad and Tobago from the rest of the region, as regional reports have indicated that TT's nomination for position on the United Nations Security Council for the period 2027 to 2028 may be in jeopardy after its decision to support the United States in military action that have left 32 people dead. The Caribbean Media Corporation reported that some regional leaders were not happy with Trinidad and Tobago's position. As a result, the endorsement by CARICOM to represent the region in the UN Security Council has reportedly been called into question. The CMC report went further to say that Trinidad and Tobago might have also rendered itself ineligible to represent CARICOM, given the Kamala Persad-Bess's statements that the U.S. military should kill all traffickers violently. So that's what the story is about. But you've commented on that, and I always found it's a strange position for a senior counsel to take with regard to due process and stuff like that. Regardless, it's just strange. I don't know what's, what's her motivation for having such violent rhetoric. But of course, there are consequences to Trinidad and Tobago not breaking the CARICOM unified position in foreign policy, which has generally been a standard, generally, of CARICOM nations having a unified position on certain issues. So there's a consequence to that. And you could be bravidage and say, I don't care, but you will care eventually because these are our main markets for a lot of our goods from our manufacturers. So you should care, Madam Prime Minister, with all due respect.
Well, even Donald Trump is under some pressure in the United States because of his position. You understand?
But because international experts have said it's a violation of international law.
Mm-hmm.
If the world bodies that govern international law have said it's a violation, I cannot understand why Trinidad and Tobago is so vehement in articulating its position like that.
Because they can't back out of it, Richard.
With so many laws, of course you can back out and say, okay, our policy previously was misguided and we apologize and back out.
Who's saying that? Which government you know saying that?
Well, I'm just saying that's a way to back out. But what I'm saying is that international law experts weighing in on the issue, not necessarily in the United States alone, in Europe and stuff, have indicated, and the global bodies that look at that indicated that it is a violation of international law. You can't just be bombing boats just like that, whatever your reason. And so there are consequences to that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a bizarre position to me, given the whole issue of due process and stuff like that. I don't understand what the thinking is. And of course, this is not the most enamored U.S. administration globally.
Well, you just made me change my poll. I'm happy
Yeah,
what you said.
a lot of the people, a lot of countries around the world are kind of bewildered as to what is going on in the United States. Of course, they had the No Kings protest over when was that? No Kings protest was on Saturday, was it? I think it was on Saturday.
That's in some of the different states.
All the states went there,
Yes,
not some.
yes.
All the states, millions of Americans came out onto the streets saying no kings because they felt the Constitution and the democracy was at risk, or is at risk, not was, is.
But the Trump administration actually needs Congress to give them the approval to go to war, and they say that that's not going to happen. So you made me change my poll. So to Charles, I just sent a new poll based on that this issue of Trinidad and Tobago seemed tied with the Trump administration. We're not saying United States. I'm being clearly poll the Trump administration because a lot of the United States are not supporting. A lot of people in the United States, they're not supporting this war in inverted commas. So we're going to specific to the Trump administration. You understand?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
all right, okay, no problem.
We'll see. I mean, whether you're on the right side of history eventually plays out. You know, it plays out eventually in years to come. Whether Trinidad and Tobago's position is on the right side of history or not, it will play out.
Yeah. Yes, Lester Cragwell. Admiral Halsey also is resigning at the end, I think, of this month or this year. He signaled that because he is not in favor of what they're doing.
It's great. If it was Russia or China bombing boats, like if it was China bombing boats off Taiwan and saying drug traffickers, the US would have something to say.
Yes.
You know, similarly, if Russia was doing something similar, you know, bombing boats off wherever is close to whatever their closest neighbor is, or where they have eyes on a territory of some sort. The US would have a lot to say about it.
It's crazy that you have the wherewithal to intercept and stop and get these people, and you just drop a bomb on them. It's crazy, yeah, when you think about it.
You you could get the intelligence of what's going on. You have
You
people
could
that
go
you
and
could
get
arrest.
them. You could
Yeah,
simply go and get them.
But obviously they don't want all of that. They just want to obliterate. But they got some survivors over some bombing, and they said they're returning them to their countries.
Yeah.
And I think it was Ecuador and Colombia. Some submarine or something like that.
And that's what I think they didn't cater for. People who survived, who could say that's not what they were doing.
So as we said, we will see whether history proves this administration right, or if it will prove them, very wrong. But certainly in the CARICOM region, we are a sole voice in terms of, I think, the rest of the Caribbean has voted in a particular way.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's open the lines. Let's hear what our callers have to say. So, people, you can call us now as we go up to our poll and news time in a short. So, 281-1315 and 299-5156. Are you guys ready for the calls?
Yeah, man.
Nice. Good morning to you, caller.
Hi, good morning to Charles and Richard Wendell.
Morning, sir.
There was a debate in the House, and 7 speakers from the PNM side spoke, and 5 were remaining to speak. But what was happening is that the government was using backbenchers, novices, to kick off the debate, trying to shield the senior ministers who have senior ministries and were supposed to come and enlighten the public as to what is happening. And they decided to use these backbenchers and run out all the speakers on the PNM side. And what happened, the PNM decided to use 5 speakers to challenge people like Dr. Monilal, Khadija Ahmed, Julian John, even the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister was not in Parliament on that day. She was not there. And that is what caused the breakdown. The PNM reserved 5 speakers to challenge whatever contribution the senior UNC ministers made. So they waited, hoping that the government would have used these ministers. And instead of doing that, what they did is that Mr. Tanku got up and decided to wind up the debate. But he did not respond to the leader of the opposition performance, because she was exceptional in her presentation. I could see that. I'm going to the leader for the same house.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much, caller.
Thanks for the information. Of course,
Yeah,
as I said.
But the thing about it is that I don't think it's Mr. Tanku that wind up the debate if nobody is speaking. I think the speaker is who called for the wind up if nobody is going to speak from again. So it was, I don't think it was Mr. Tanku. And I don't know if that was a bad strategy or if that
that happened before, I'm sure. I think that happened also when the PNM was in government and the UNC was in opposition. That cat and mouse game they always playing in Parliament.
Yeah, so they are aware of it. Say what you have to say. Good morning,
if I
caller.
was the PNM, what I would do? I would have put my people to speak, and then when the government want to speak after, I'd get up and walk. That's the better strategy.
All right. Hello, good morning, caller. Virginia.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Front and center. Thank you. You opened the show. Who was it? Wendell opened the show talking about what people do if the show doesn't come on. I better go find a couch and talk to somebody in a white coat, because the time zone I'm in right now at an undisclosed location. I can't really say where I am, but with 3 hours, 3 hours ahead. Yeah, maybe you have something there, boy. That could be a Friday pool, okay? Yeah, or maybe I need a life. But anyway, but by the way, you had the marches and so on, but guess what? November last year proved that that's just a fraction of the people who just have whatever grouse they have and whether it's legit or not. Okay, but that's not the whole of America, whether it's millions or not. And by the way, you're speaking about that's submersible. I wonder what you'll use a submersible for, especially if you're not part of a navy of any official state. But anyway, that's interesting. And lastly, Richard, you mentioned that yeah, that's true. A number of countries have spoken against the current administration or Trump or whatever, right? But the thing is that the same United Nations, which I call UN, really stands for usually nothing useful. You know who the other day they put on the Committee for Human Rights? China. And it gets even better. And there's another country that they put where for something for women's rights or whatever, where in that region, a woman, they treat them less than a goat. So, hey, but this is the crazy world that we live in.
Yeah.
Have a great day, gentlemen. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
A really crazy world.
Yeah.
A really crazy world.
Caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
You know, the good thing about the attack and the repatriation of the survivors of the submarine that was destroyed, Trump himself admitted that they were survivors and they were sent back to the country. So the fact that they were repatriated simply means that these people are not interested in prosecuting anyone who are alleged narco traffickers. And while you are correct that the Congress has to declare war, what Mr. Trump is going on is the same justification used by George Bush when he started the Iran-Iraq war and bombing Afghanistan. Because they didn't declare war. What they said was they were going after terrorists. So once it's going after terrorists, they don't have to declare war as such, right? That is one. The other part about it is there are prominent senators, Republican senators, who have said that they will file a resolution in the U.S. Senate to begin with about the actions being taken against the administration, and this is a bipartisan resolution. That's supposed of Democratic and Republican senators. So if it succeeds in the Senate and goes to the House, the actions could stop. And I'm saying that the resignation of and retirement of Admiral Halsey, who only took up that command 9 months ago, and is our 4-star admiral, says a lot. Right? If somebody at that status resigns, that tells you that there is no there's high level non-support for the action that is being taken, because he would be aware of what war crimes are being committed and the fact that people are not being extradited. I suspect that the non-interdiction of survivors and the repatriation would have made up his mind and say, well, listen, I'm in the military for 37 years under too many presidents and secretaries of defense to put myself and my future in harm's way. And this is despite the fact that the U.S. troops cannot be prosecuted under the ICC because the U.S. does not recognize the ICC. And finally, what I want to say for people to consider is this, right? The fact of the matter is, if China attempts to go after Taiwan, there will be immediate outcry if they attack any Taiwanese shipping vessels. But the rest of the world is quiet. And the reason why that is happening is because the Trump administration is acting this way, because the Supreme Court has given President Trump blanket immunity for official acts he commits in the name of the American government. And that is why he is behaving that way. Because the slant of the court, that's 6-3, meaning 6 Republican conservative judges to 9 liberal Democratic judges, means that he has there's a built-in superiority for any decision. They have already given him that blanket support. He can do what he wants. So post administration, if that ever happens, which I doubt, which many people doubt will happen, nothing is going to happen to President Trump. Take care, gentlemen. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right. Yeah. I don't know now. We live in people saying that he is so powerful that, just like what you said, nothing will happen to him. I don't know that will be true, eh? I don't know that will be true.
Yeah.
The world is changing and they're starting to set examples of world leaders now. You understand?
All right. Caller, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, caller.
Hi, first time caller here. I'd like to make a brief comment about the Venezuela situation.
Go ahead.
Okay. First, it is quite obvious that what the United States is doing has nothing to do with drug interdiction, but it is about regime change in Venezuela. It is obvious to anybody. Okay?
Yeah. All right.
That is it, caller? That is it?
No. But what I'm also going to say is this. What complicates the situation is that apparently there are many Venezuelans, and I might even say a majority, who are in favor of a regime change and the removal of Nicolas Maduro, who they claim had lost the last election, but who has refused to stand down. So it complicates the situation. Yes, it is wrong for the United States to, let us say, invade Venezuela and remove the president. But then, what the United States is arguing is that they are not about regime change, they are trying to validate what the Venezuelan people really want. So where do we stand on all this? It's a complicated situation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
That's true.
Thank you.
But it's a complicated situation across many countries on the planet, where you have autocratic leaders. So there is no moral compass to this, which comes back to the age-old discussion that countries are ruled and operate on the issue of self-interest, not on the issue of any moral compass. Because look what the Taliban is doing in Afghanistan right now with regard to women and women's rights.
Mm-hmm.
Is the world thinking of invading Afghanistan again in terms of setting that right, because women are being persecuted and their rights are being eroded in a dramatic way by the Taliban? No, because it's not in the interests of states to deal with that issue. So there is always self-interest. Of course, Venezuela has the largest oil and natural gas, the proven reserves on the planet. So that's a factor. So regime change and saying, well, the majority of the people want X or the majority of the people want Y, it's not a moral decision. It's an issue of self-interest.
So true. All right, as we go up to the top of the hour, and the poll is up, people. We'll read the poll for you. Let's take the final caller as we go up to the top. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning to Charles on the Breakfast Show. It's nice hearing you all after this long weekend. One of the highlights, at least for me, was attending the funeral of that veteran cricketer icon, Governor Julian, at the St. Finbar's Catholic Church, you know. It was very sober, very sad, and hearing Derek Morey and some of his past players, you know, and even some young ones and things, forming on the last day and the bats in the end. Very touching. And seeing his sister, who was the principal of Mopapa Girl, his son did a very good thing on him. All the things was outstanding. I remember he speaking to me and all about that, having a good hold on the English language, speaking properly. And his son mentioned that in church, you know. So, Brother Julian made a good contribution, and may his soul rest in peace. He will always be remembered. We had the magazine here, we had the mission too. All the best, guys. Have a good day.
All right. Mr. Billy, you sound a little down this morning, man.
Yeah. But I guess, you know, that somber mood of the funeral and everything.
All right.
Right.
So our poll is up. Should TT back out? Should Trinidad and Tobago back out of their position with supporting the Trump administration? All right. You can continue to vote. You can vote through our news time. And when we come back, we'll give the poll results. And of course, we'll interview Chairman of the People's National Movement, Member of Parliament, Marvin Gonzales. All right?
Okay.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio and Guile Caribbean. I'm Derek. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says her government is creating over 20,000 jobs through a national recruitment drive now underway across the public sector. She says the initiative, which began yesterday, will fill vacancies in 25 ministries and state enterprises, with Phase 2 to come in partnership with the private sector, expected to create another 50,000 jobs. Applications can be made online via employtt.gov. TT or in person at the National Cycling Velodrome in Couva this week. The Prime Minister says the program aims to replace dependency on CPEP and URP with real long-term employment opportunities. She added that this is part of a wider Trinidad and Tobago revitalization program designed to stimulate economic growth and attract private investment. Persad-Bissessar says, "This is not a promise wrapped in red tape. This is an action plan for every citizen." People's National Movement Chairman Marvin Gonzales has blasted what he called the public lynching of opposition leader Penelope Beckles after she was referred to Parliament's Privileges Committee immediately following her budget response on Friday. Speaking at Balasier House, Gonzales said no opposition member was aware that any motion had been raised against Beckles, calling the move scandalous and disrespectful to parliamentary procedure. He claimed standing orders were breached, insisting that such motions must first be approved by the Speaker and raised openly in Parliament, not decided behind closed doors. Deputy Speaker Dr. Ayana Ali had ruled that Beckles' statement about Speaker Jagdeo Singh's conduct showed a prima facie case for referral. Gonzales says the opposition checked Hansard records and found no record of the motion ever being raised. Acting Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin says there's no local intelligence suggesting citizens have any reason to worry, following a U.S. Embassy alert warning Americans to avoid U.S. facilities in Trinidad and Tobago over the Diwali weekend. Benjamin says police have received no additional information from U.S. authorities, but have increased patrols and tightened security at key sites, including Tantek and Wassa facilities. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur has slammed what he calls fake news spreading panic, including claims that the Prime Minister and Attorney General were moved to a safe house. Thakur says such reports are completely false and urged the public to rely only on official sources, not social media rumors. In regional news, the Jamaica Gleaner has criticized Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar for her government's stance on the U.S. naval buildup in the southern Caribbean and the threat of military action against Venezuela. In an editorial on Monday, the newspaper questioned why Trinidad and Tobago reserved its position on CARICOM's declaration, calling for the region to remain a zone of peace and for disputes to be settled peacefully. The Gleaner also condemned Persad-Bissessar's earlier remarks supporting the U.S., including her call for drug traffickers to be killed violently and her claim that a zone of peace was a false ideal. The editorial warned that such views could erode CARICOM's non-aligned stance and make regional countries complicit in hostilities, especially after reports that 2 Trinidadian fishermen were among those killed in recent U.S. military strikes. By contrast, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness was praised for advocating coordinated regional action that follows international law. Finally, in international news, 1 week after U.S. President Donald Trump was celebrated in Israel for brokering the Gaza ceasefire, tensions have flared again. On Sunday, the Israel Defense Forces launched a series of airstrikes across Gaza after 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in Rafah. Israel blamed Hamas, but the group denied involvement, saying it lost contact with fighters in the area months ago. At least 45 Palestinians, including children, were killed. Israel said the strikes targeted Hamas terror sites, while hospitals reported many civilian deaths. U.S. pressure reportedly kept the ceasefire from collapsing, and aid deliveries have since resumed. Trump's envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are back in the region, working on the second phase of his peace plan, calling for an international force in Gaza, Israel's withdrawal, and the disarmament of Hamas. Still, violence and mistrust threaten to unravel the fragile truce. And that's news at this time.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Your mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Morning vibes, fresh energy. This is the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think the government in this country should treat the people more seriously when they have their parliament meeting. Something constructive should be happening. I visit them one evening in the parliament meeting. But what I see happening? Like these people high over cocaine. Why is the speaker speaking? In Parliament the Kingston. Eric with a newspaper reading. In Parliament the Kingston. They want to stop old people from driving. In Parliament the Kingston. That the long stage joke they're making. In Parliament the Kingston. The Kingston all the time. They're blowing everybody's mind. The Kingston all the time. Blowing everybody mind. I know this country have problems and there's nobody to solve them. The opposition making browse so the big boys could play in the house. We can't get lights, neither water. Look at the situation with Wassa. They only making confusion, building cars for horses to run. Why is the speaker speaking? In Parliament the Kingston. Murray with Tobago flag flying. In Parliament the Kingston. Sean Pandey always arguing. In Parliament the Kingston. They want to build cars for horse racing. In Parliament the Kingston. The Kingston all the time. They're blowing everybody mind. The Kingston all the time. They're blowing everybody mind. Stuff of a shortage daily. Business places burning in the city. Before they watch these things seriously, the whole meeting is a comedy. Ridicule and the fatty giving, and all of the members laughing. Whilst they having a good time, we catching we royal behind. Why is the speaker speaking? In Parliament the Kingston. But we making sweet type for Selwyn. In Parliament the Kingston. So much of dirty water we drinking. In Parliament the Kingston. We have a telephone and it's working. In Parliament the Kingston. The preparing for election coming. In Parliament the Kingston. So he put a cabinet in the kitchen. In Parliament the Kingston.
Morning just got better. You're locked into Net Radio Breakfast Show. Fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
The best music and of course real talk. Yeah, that song went out courtesy of Wendell Stevens, huh? Yeah. Timely song of that too. You would swear that song probably 70s, 80s, somewhere around there. You'd swear that is a this year song, right? What they were doing then, they're still doing now. Anyhow, people, welcome inside the second hour, the 7 o'clock hour here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. And remember, people, we stream all day, every day on the net at newerattradio.com. A New Era TT Radio, put it in your browser. That way you get us on TuneIn and all of your Google and Alexa devices, yeah?
I really admire the behavior.
And of course, good morning to the Gael family and all the folks who are watching us on TV. Anne-Marie and the folks out there in Barataria, good morning to you. Antoinette and the folks out there in Arima, good morning to you. And remember, when we come off of the Gael field after 8 o'clock, we continue to stream, all right? So go to our website. Our next engagement on the YouTube and Facebook channel will be at 4 o'clock this afternoon with Tony Fraser, the drive time exchange as he's talking with a number of economists and persons who are so inclined, and they will be looking at the budget in detail. So that's coming up a little later on this afternoon inside of the drive time exchange with Tony Fraser. And when you go to our social media sites, don't forget to hit the support button because we need your support. All right? Stay with us here on the net. We will be back shortly.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davante tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair. We do it all.
Don't miss Furniture Plus Inventory Blowout Sale. Get up to 65% off in-store and online. Enjoy massive savings on furniture, appliances, and more. Hurry, this deal won't last. Shop now and save big at Furniture Plus.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at neweraTTradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
The public is demanding it, so the laughter continues. Your only foul to watch corn is now at Central Bank Auditorium for 2 nights only. Saturday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the play that some say is the funniest of all time. Tickets available now online and at the usual outlets. And from Monday, October 20th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily at the Central Bank box office. Your only foul to watch corn has been matching up audiences.
Of course, reiterating that tickets are available at the Central Bank box office today from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily and at all the usual outlets: K-Squared Fashions, West Mall, East Gates and Brentwood Mall, Electronics in Arima, Jubilee Railway in Tunapuna, and Tony's Florals in Ballpark Shopping Plaza, and Charm Flair Auto Services. That's where you can get tickets. You can also purchase tickets online. Go to RSRR Productions Theatre on Insta, TikTok, or Facebook for information on how to purchase tickets online. You can do it there too. So you have a multitude of places and how you can buy tickets, get your tickets early. We're still looking forward. We're now winding down in terms of theatre as theatre gradually closes for the end of the year. So this may be our last show in Port of Spain. I think it is actually at Central Bank Auditorium this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6. Of course, we now, I just wanted to mention that I heard in the news that the news reporter talked about the jobs issue and the Prime Minister indicating that jobs will now employ TT. I think it's like 20,000 jobs that people can apply for. I think that's good. I think that's a really good initiative in terms of putting what vacancies out there, because there's so many departments in the public sector that are under-resourced from a human resource perspective. So many. So it'll be good if those positions can be filled. So I think that's a positive, very positive thing. What was the, I was just scrolling through and I saw that the US passport has dipped out of the top 10 for the first time in terms of powerful passports. It's out of the top 10 for the first time ever. And it brought me back to that issue of a lot of the trips that the Prime Minister would, not trips, conversations that she would have had when she was in the UN, in addition, and specifically with the UAE, where they removed the visa requirement for official passports and government officials, I guess, but not the ordinary citizen.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you even bother to tell us?
Yeah.
Why are you even saying that is a win? If the average citizen cannot go to the UAE without a visa, then it's not a win. You represent us. Making it easier for you to travel and for your official people to travel is a win for you personally, but it's not a win for the citizenry. And so, I found that weird. Why would you not lobby that the average citizen should be able to enter the UAE without a visa? We never talked about that, but I always felt that was strange. But anyway, that was just two little things I had to bring. But besides all of that, we now get into our poll results. And
the issue, just to touch on the issue quickly also to Richard, of the employment thing, is that in government, this government sector, that people are being employed? It does not go through service commission. How is this working?
No. Not all positions go through. Only permanent positions go through the Public Service Commission. Contract positions don't go through the Service Commission.
But I thought that they were doing away with contract positions.
Well, I don't know what positions these are. And even if but the guy didn't go on the site to check them. I'm just talking generically that the access to jobs, because you have so many university graduates, for example, who are not in jobs yet. And if a lot of these jobs call for university graduates, you have a huge pool of them waiting to get jobs. So I'm thinking it's a good thing. As to the issue of if it has to go before the Service Commission or not, I can't answer that. Because I don't know what the jobs are, because I didn't go onto the site.
Getting jobs could never be a bad thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it's a good thing if it's 20,000 jobs. That's
Yeah, but is it for the people who would have been displaced?
That I can't answer.
Because I gather.
My sense of it is that it's a variety of jobs. So maybe some would be for people who were displaced, but some may be for different tiers in the public sector. Because if it's public sector jobs, which it has to be, if it's going under employee TT, I'm believing so. Then
you have some level of qualification, not so?
Yeah, there will be so many levels in the public sector, as I said before, that are under-resourced in all manner of positions, depending on whatever tier you are in. So, but as I said, I did not check employee TT to see what it was and what it looked like. I know the site was down for a part of the time over the weekend. I don't know if it was down because so many people were accessing it. But because I did at one point try, but I was just curious, but it was down. But as I said, I don't know if it's because so many people were accessing it. But I know Amazon Web Services also had an outage over the weekend, so I don't know if that also affected access to some websites.
But there must be some arrangement for the people who were displaced. That's all I'm saying. Because they may not even have access. Some of them have access to a computer, or maybe not the qualifications that they may be asking for. What are they to do now? Anyway, we'll find out some more. All right. So you ready for your vote, sir?
Yeah.
All right. Should Trinidad and Tobago back out of their position with supporting the Trump administration? Elia Rizan said yes. Rena Jennings, yes. Margaret Thomas, yes. Melchizedek, yes. Gregory Boyer, yes. Michael Oliver, no. David McCarthy, yes. Michael Cadet, yes. Susan Jessup, yes. Natasha Scott didn't vote. Eunice Dublin, yes. Florence Barzy, yes. Felix Kazo, yes. Diane Payne, yes. Claire Lendo Rollins, yes. GH, yes. Ava Smith, yes. Derek Billion didn't vote here. Stephen Harper voted already. Kazim Mohammed, yes. M. Cooper, yes. Or Stephen Harper's vote, yes now. Ingrid from Tucson, yes. Natasha, you still ain't vote again, Natasha. Finbar Collins, yes, and we should have a regime change in TT as well. You wish you had to wait 5 years for that. 4 years and 9 months. Derek Billion, yes. Lester Cragwell, yes. Miguel Gonzalez, yes. Candice Pascal didn't vote. Tawash, yes. Marlon Motley, yes. Debbie Mitchell, no. Kenny and Harlem, yes. Alan Reese, no. Stephen Harper said his wife said yes. You get permission to speak today this month. Roslyn says yes. Lennox Francois, yes. Yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. Carol Guevara, yes. Bernadette Yates, yes. Centilin Collin. Senegal is in West Africa. Yeah, I know that. Florence Barzy didn't vote here. Natasha, oh Lord, Natasha, you're getting miserable. Lloyd Cave says yes. Joseph Clement says yes. Classic Brother, yes. Carla Hercules, yes. Valerie Mendoza, yes. Apollinaus, yes. Centilin Collins says yes, she did. What is that? Okay, she did back out? No, she didn't. Donna Ramlo Chan says no, I want a visa. Amanda Edwin says yes. Alistair Hart, yes. Tanisha Lois, yes. Joyce Phillip, yes. Lyndon says no. And he said Lyndon Phillip, yes. Anaya says yes. And Jason Samuel didn't vote. That's it. Jason Samuel, we deliberately said Trump and not the US because not everybody in the US is supported. All right?
All right. So on the WhatsApp this morning, we had Brenda coming in saying yes. Pauline saying no. Sean Ram saying no. Judith in Tobago says yes. Valerie didn't vote. Horatio says yes. Raymond says yes to the poll. Captain Ron says yes. Terry Ann Peter says yes. Junior says yes. Sachin says yes. And oh no, Sachin says no. Sorry.
I was going to ask you how Sachin say yes. You know.
Yeah, he said no, but all who said yes and he went down the road, so that kind of confused me there. So yeah, but he said no. Charmaine in New York says yes, and Anand says no way. The Caribbean now getting clean up.
Right.
That's
and
it.
One more vote from Shane Butt says yes, and Jude Khan says no. So that's it.
Do you think we should turn and walk away?
Well, not walk away, but we should just not get involved, which is what we were saying from the very beginning. Have nothing to say. Even if you support it quietly, you can't just, anyway. We had enough discussion on that already.
Yeah, so should TT back out of their position with supporting the Trump administration? That's our poll this morning. We had 62 people voting on the poll this morning. And of the 62 people that voted, 52 of you said yes, you think the Trinidad and Tobago should back out of their position with supporting the Trump administration. 52 of you said yes, and 10 of you said no. So the vast majority said yay. So that's the results of our poll this morning. So now you know, and the polling is now done.
Wow. To our guests who is in backstage, you will have to log out and come back in and allow use of your microphone and your camera. If you don't do that, we will not be able to get you in the studio.
Mr. Gonzales, but we would have interviewed Marvin Gonzales before.
Yes, a couple of times. So that's what I'm finding straight. So you need to log back out and come back in, allow use of your microphone and your camera.
Yeah, just say yes to your microphone and camera.
But you know, sometimes devices kind of give problems. So it might be the same device that he might
be using a different device.
It could be that. Sometimes the same device just kick you off. You know, you have to get through all. You have to go through the
my camera does
over again. But
my external camera does it sometimes.
So we can go straight into Let's Talk.
There he is.
You all hear me now?
Yes, we hear you and seeing you.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you all very much.
You can like have a halo over your head, man. You're looking almost Christ-like.
Good morning, Marvin Gonzales, and thanks so much for joining us this
morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, Mr. Gonzales. Thanks for joining us. And of course, you're joining us in your capacity as the chairman of the People's National Movement and, of course, a member of Parliament in the nation's lower house. All right?
Thank you.
I suppose, Marvin, we could start off with what exactly happened in the budget debate, because it's kind of unclear to us, even though we saw some media reports and they're saying, of course, the ruling party is pushing it as a collapse and chaotic collapse of the People's National Movement, and that they were disorganized, and that's why the rest of the speakers didn't debate, and it was the quickest budget debate in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Along that lines is what they're saying. Clarify to us what is the position of the PNM as to what exactly transpired last Friday.
Okay, let's start by making certain things clear, very, very clear, so that the viewing and listening audience could understand what is the reality in our present parliament. The PNM has 13 members, 12 active members, because the MP for Buruka Maloney, she is Trincity Maloney, she's not well, and therefore she has not been in parliament since, and she has gotten leave to be absent from parliament until the end of the year. So we just have 12 active members currently in the House. The UNC, on the other hand, has, together with the Tobago Party, the TPP, they have 28 members in the House. And then in a budget debate, you have members of, or rather senators who hold ministerial portfolio. They are also entitled to join in the debate. So apart from the 28 members in the lower house, you have, like, for example, the Minister of Labor, the Minister of Public Admin, and just to name a few. These ministers are not members of parliament. They are senators, and they are also entitled to join in the debate in the lower house. So you're looking at over 35 persons on the government side who are entitled to join the debate, including senior ministers. On the other hand, in the lower house, we just have 12 PNM MPs to respond to. Now, in the debate, as you all are aware, you have the Minister of Finance presenting the budget, and then on Monday, and then on Friday, the Leader of the Opposition responds, and therein lies the debate. So once the Leader of the Opposition responds, you have a member of the government responding to the Leader of the Opposition, a member of the opposition responding to the previous government minister who would have spoken. So Saddam Hussein would have responded to the Leader of the Opposition, and Keith Scotland would have responded to Saddam Hussein. And it went on like that until we had until around 2 o'clock in the morning, where about 7 of our speakers had responded to the government. But what we observed was that the government was only putting in backbenchers, mainly backbenchers. So at 2 a.m. in the morning, only 2 senior government ministers spoke in the debate or participated in the debate. That is the MP for Barataria San Juan in his capacity as a Minister of Government, a member of Cabinet, and the member for San Fernando West, who is the Minister of Education, spoke. But the rest of the government speakers were backbenchers without any ministerial or cabinet portfolio. And MP Nan Gatvi Dolly and a couple of our MPs would have responded. We just had about 5 MPs remaining to speak. But the senior ministers of government, like the Minister of Works and Transport, the Minister of Energy, all those senior ministers of Housing, all of those ministers were sitting there, not participating in the debate. And we recognized that what the government was trying to do was to run out all of the 12 PNM MPs so that they can create a platform where all of their ministers could come in the parliament, speak without anyone responding to them. No, that is not a debate. A debate is you speak, you make your points, and then the other side respond to the points that you make. When the PNM was in government and the UNC had 19 seats, we had about 23 seats. Same thing, we had more speakers than them, more ministers. And what we did is that we allowed, in order to allow the opposition not to run out of speakers, we would put in about 3 speakers consecutively and allow the opposition to reserve some of their speakers so that they can respond to us until we come down to the conclusion of the debate. We'd never wanted or created a situation where the government would speak to itself and no one from the opposition is responding. So at 2 a.m., when we just had about 4 or 5 more speakers on the opposition bench and over 16 or 20 more speakers on the government bench, we decided to hold back our speakers so that the government can run more of their speakers so that we can have a budget debate. So, of course, that was not their plan. Their plan was to run out all of our speakers and then they speak, no one else to respond. The Prime Minister never entered the debate, never showed up in Parliament on Friday. All of the government ministers, senior ministers, just sitting there. So what we did is that when the member for Claxton Bay, as the government MP, concluded his debate, we did not put in a speaker, expecting the government to continue with the 20-odd speakers on their end, including the senior ministers, to come and account to the population. So we held back our 4 speakers in order to allow them, and they refused to put in their speakers. And in that regard, the speaker called upon the Minister of Finance to wind up the debate. The government had the opportunity to run their speakers. They had about 20 more speakers to run. So when the UNC, of course, is saying that the PNM collapsed, that was not the case. All of us were in the parliament. We were participating in the debate up to 2 o'clock in the morning. We had 5 more speakers to respond to their 20-odd speakers, and it is they who refused to put their senior ministers to speak because they were deliberately trying to create a scenario in the parliament to allow their senior ministers to enter into the budget debate with no one to respond. When the Minister of Finance rose, he responded to no issue because he had no prepared notes. He was not accompanied by his technocrats. He did not respond to any of the critical issues raised by the leader of the opposition and our 7 or 6 speakers who participated in the debate up to 2 o'clock in the morning. He did not. All he said, the PNM collapsed and make a whole set of hullabaloo over nothing. And the government refused to put their senior ministers into the budget debate so that the remaining 5 PNM MPs could have responded to anything that they would have said.
So MP Gonzales, so in a kind of way, if it was in fact a strategy of the government, the UNC government, it worked because they didn't have to, the debate ended abruptly without the senior members of the PNM.
No, it did not work because we did not create the situation to run up all of our speakers.
Right, I'm saying the strategy on their part. If the strategy on their part was
to frustrate,
not to account to the parliament or to the public, in essence, it worked because they have not accounted.
No, their strategy was to run out all of the PNM MPs or speakers so that when their main ministers enter the debate, there will be no one on the government side to respond. So they wanted to, that was their strategy. So they expected us to just run out the 4 remaining speakers So by Saturday morning, when we resume, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Energy, the Minister of Housing, the Minister of Local Government, all the Minister of Homeland Security, Minister of Defense, all of them would have come to speak to you, the population, with no one in the opposition to respond to them.
Okay, understood. I understand that side of it. But is that something that is prearranged between the leader of government business and the chief whip?
We do not have a decent and honorable government in place. You would expect that kind of arrangement to take place behind the speaker's chair. And I can tell you this, I know I hate doing this, guys. And I hate doing this because we're supposed to operate with a certain level of decency with each other, even though we are on either side of the political spectrum. There are certain discussions that will take place between the political parties, especially where the arrangement in our parliament is concerned. And with these discussions, you expect, for example, the chief whip and the leader of government business to have these discussions behind the speaker's chair.
That's how I've always heard it happen before.
And no one will know. And I can tell you, up to 1 o'clock in the morning, up to 1 a.m. in the morning, I message repeatedly the leader of government business, and I ask him, what is the arrangement? What are you doing? And his last message to me was, I don't know. I have to speak to I hate doing it, but I have to say it. I don't know. I have to speak to the Prime Minister. He never responded. He never responded. And so I knew that they were up to no good. And that is not the first time I'm having this experience with him. They are not honorable and they do not stick to their words.
But wouldn't it have been more valuable to the citizens that the 5 senior, because you had some senior members there to speak on the PNM side, including Colm Imber, who I don't think spoke, and wouldn't it have been valuable? Would it have been valuable to have him speak?
We were prepared to speak, Richard. We wanted to speak. We all came there prepared to speak. But we wanted to speak where we could respond to the government, because that is the nature of a debate. Why are we speaking, responding to backbenchers who do not have cabinet portfolio?
Yeah, I could see the PNM wanting to do what you're saying should be done, but I could also see a government doing what they did, especially a UNC government.
Why would they not want to come and account to the population with respect to what is taking place in their ministries? And why do they not want members of the opposition to respond to them? There are only 12 of us. There are 28 of them. And why would 28 people dodge and run from 12 MPs?
Yeah. But we would have had an example like this before in 2010 to 2015, where it was 29-12. So there is an example. I can't remember what happened back then, but I'm adding to Richard's question. Wouldn't it have been still beneficial to us, the population, and especially the people who don't have a political bias, to at least hear what the opposition had to say based on what they heard coming out of the budget?
Well, let me see. The leader of the opposition response to the budget was broad. It was broad. It was, I would regard it as a political takedown of the budget. She exposed the budget for what it is for the citizens, right? There was little more that if we had entered debate, it would have been to reinforce what the leader of the opposition would have already mentioned in her 3 hours plus contribution, pointing to all of the various ministries and the issues that she would have mentioned in her contribution, her 3 hour plus contribution. What we wanted to do, in addition to what she did, was to be able to go and respond to the Minister of Energy in his contribution, to go into details so that we could respond. I wanted to respond to the Minister of Homeland Security, the Minister of Defense, and the Minister of Public Utilities. When he responded, then you have Minister Imbert and Minister of, MP Imbert, MP Stuart Young, all ready to respond directly to those key ministries, having regard to the fact that the leader of the opposition would have taken down and exposed and stripped apart the budget from a broader context. And that is the nature, and that is how the population benefit from. Because You would expect MP Imbert, and I mean, with the greatest of respect to the backbenchers, we are not saying that they are not deserving to be responded by senior MPs. We are saying that they do not have any cabinet portfolio. They have literally no role to play in the budget itself. You understand? But so therefore, what we wanted to do is to reserve our final 5 MPs to respond to the 20-odd government ministers who should have participated in the debate.
Yeah.
Because there was no plan. There was obviously no plan because you indicated that there was no communication between the chief whip and the leader of government business. So obviously there was no plan to.
There's no plan by whom?
There was no plan. Well, by both sides, in a sense.
You mean there's no agreement?
Understand?
No agreement. No agreement.
There was no agreement that
they never wanted an agreement.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is, I think there was still, even though the leader of the opposition did a comprehensive analysis of the budget in her response, you still wanted to hear from somebody like Colin Burke because he was the former Minister of Finance, who we've had for 9 years. So you would have wanted to hear what he had to say because he would have had more in-depth knowledge, I would want to believe, than the leader of the opposition because he had been in that seat for 9 years. So, it would have done, I think, the country some service, whether you like him or not, because some people like him, some people don't. But regardless, he has been in the position for an extended period. So it would have been good to hear what his perspective was on the budget, and even if it was reinforcing some of the issues that the leader of the opposition said. So it just comes across. I understand what you're saying in terms of the wanting to respond to government ministers, but sometimes you have to bypass whatever the other side is doing to make sure that your message is reinforced.
I hear you on that, Richard.
And also, Minister, if the government recognized that was the strategy, even last minute, why it is that they did not interject, if that is the case, realizing that the thing was going to be wrapped up, to say, no, we are here and we would like to speak. Wasn't there an opportunity for them to do something like that?
Well, no. I mean, the government, they had all of their senior ministers there. And if they realized that the opposition at that point did not put in a speaker, they could have continued with their speakers.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying, seeing that they did not do that, and the House Speaker had to say, well, if nobody's speaking, Minister Tanku wrap up. Could not the government, the opposition at that point in time, intervene and say, no, we are here still, we would like to speak?
No, the Speaker in charge of the House.
No. The Speaker has to regulate what is taking place.
Yeah.
If he realizes he should have looked at not the Minister of Finance, but he should have looked at the leader of government business and asked the leader of government business if he's prepared to put in more speakers in the debate.
And that is what I'm trying to find out. So is it that you're saying that after your last speaker and somebody was called on the government side to speak, is it that they did not speak, or the speaker called you all and you all decided no? Is that what happened?
They did not speak, and therefore the speaker asked the Minister of Finance to wind up the debate. And the government, if they were serious in participating in the debate and wanted a debate to benefit the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they could have simply continued with their 20 plus speakers who did not speak up to that point in time.
Yeah, I think it was clearly a plan. I don't know if I want to use the word sinister plan of the government not to respond to, not to have to deal with the debate. Because you said you were waiting to respond to the Minister of Homeland Security. I don't know that you would have had anything to respond to there, but all the same, it clearly their plan worked. You understand? No, it's now left for the PNM. Well, I mean, you have nothing to respond to, but surely, you're going to say so.
Well, Amanda, what the PNM is planning to do, we will go to the People's Parliament in the Court of Public Opinion, and we are going to make our presentation. So Mr. Imbert is going to speak to the population. I am going to speak to the population, Mr. Young, Simon D. Nobrega, all of us. We are
But
preparing.
Minister, isn't that the same thing that could have happened in the Parliament if that is the case? If the government did not want to speak, I'm trying to understand. 1 minute, I'm just trying to understand the situation as it is. Is it that after your last speaker, the government spoke, or they did not speak, and that is when the speaker closed off the debate? Or is it that after the government, they asked you all to speak, and you all had nobody else you all wanted to put up, and that is when the speaker closed off? Can you clarify that for me?
After the speaker for Claxton Bay, that is the government speaker. After he spoke, he wrapped up his contribution. The opposition looked across, and I looked across to the government, and I told them to continue with their speakers, because we only had 5 more speakers remaining. You had 20 plus speakers. So you continued our speakers, and we would enter and continue the debate based on the speakers that you put in.
Okay.
Because that is the nature of the debate. That is the nature of a debate.
So at that point in time, if the government is not putting in anybody else because they are saying, well, no,
the government decided not to put anybody else. And
right. And at that point in time, if the government is not putting in anybody else, couldn't you all continue to speak?
So Charles, I think you're missing something.
I'm trying to understand it.
No, let me explain it to you. If the Speaker of the House at that point in time call on the government to wrap up the debate, that's the end of it, you know. The opposition have no say in that.
No, and what I'm trying to understand, if you all understand what I'm saying, after the member for Claxton Bay spoke and the government was supposed to speak, if the government say we have nobody else that we are putting in, couldn't the opposition say, well, we will continue to speak? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Right.
So I think I explained that already.
Yeah, you're still missing the part because Mr. Gonzales explained that once the speaker calls upon the government to wrap up the debate, that's the end of the debate. To wind up, that's the end of it. The opposition can say, "Hey, I want to talk." You understand?
No. I think part of it maybe Marvin is the clarity of it. I suppose what Sir Charles is maybe trying to say, and not diminishing what you said as Sir Charles at all. I think what maybe he's trying to say is at the point that the Claxton Bay MP finished speaking, why didn't the leader of government business stand and say, Speaker, can the government continue with their speakers? We have 5 left.
Correct.
And we prefer that they continue speaking, and then we will wrap up after they have completed or after they are finished. And let the government say, no, all you go ahead, we not speaking. And then you stand up and say, is it that the government side is finished and our 5 speakers can now go and before wrap up? I think the clarity of the exchange rather than the nodding and the silence, are you continuing? I think maybe that's what...
Yeah, I believe there's some kind of confusion took place there.
No, there's no confusion.
I can tell you what happened, you know, but I can't tell you on radio. It's clear that their plan worked. It's clear. You understand?
Well, if that was their plan and their plan worked, what I'm saying is that Mr. Gonzales and his team, they are experienced people in the parliament, recognizing now. I don't want to to say we are moral and spiritually high-grounded people in this country, so we expect certain things to go a particular way. There's a lot on both sides that you clearly see that both sides don't like each other. So I think they always have to be prepared for somebody trying to pull the rug from under your feet in the parliament.
So, George,
and I don't get the feeling that happened.
George, I think I explained it. I don't know if I was not clear. I told you that we had 5 remaining MPs. The government had about 20. And what the government was trying to do is to create a scenario where the 5 opposition MPs would speak, run out all of the government speakers so that their 15 plus speakers can speak without anybody on the opposition responding. That is the scenario that the government was trying to create. And we said, no, we're not going to have any one of that.
I get you.
Do I need to be clearer?
Yeah, I mean, I understand now clearer what took place. But I just think it was unfortunate because I think the loss was to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago because I think sometimes politicians underestimate that the population really does want to hear,
of course,
the value of what people have to say in Parliament, and maybe sometimes they underestimate the value of what you're saying and when you have to say it, and even if you meet obstacles, that you should still say it.
And let me tell you this, Richard, and you are absolutely right. And this government is very diabolical. This government is very sinister and ought not to be underestimated. This debate, and what they were also trying to do, is to ensure that the senior opposition MPs spoke in the wee hours of the morning. 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, when no one is looking. Most people are asleep at that point in time. So that their senior ministers could enter into the debate at maybe 10 o'clock the next morning, when a lot of our citizens would tune in back into the Parliament channel and listen to senior government ministers and the Prime Minister with no one else to respond to them. So the timing, you look at the timing as well. Go, ensure they speak at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Run them all out. Let them respond to backbenchers. Let them respond to people with no cabinet portfolio. That was the plan.
Yeah. I mean,
but Mr. Gonzales, can I just raise one other thing? Because in the newspapers, also in the article in the Express, I was reading that.
Which one? The editorial?
Yeah.
No, I am not going to respond to the editorial because they are a wing of the UNC right now. Because at no point in time in that Express editorial, they spoke about the Prime Minister not being in the Parliament on Friday. At no point in time in that Express editorial, they spoke about the government having 20 ministers to participate in the debate, and they refused to put them in. At no point in time in that Express editorial, they made reference to the fact that the 5 PNM MPs, there's nowhere the 5 PNM MPs could obstruct the government from going on with the debate. So I'm not prepared to respond to the
strange enough, while I hear you making that assertion on the Express, I hear other people also making claims that the Express is the PNM propaganda machine. But I just want to say out of it, there was a quote that Dr. Hamid Ghani said that Dr. Hamid Ghani said that Mr. Imbert and Mr. Young, they stayed silent to avoid criticism. How would you respond to something like that?
Dr. Hamid Ghani, I've been reading them, and these fellas, I mean, I don't want to say anything disparaging about them, but all I can say is that I have been listening and reading their comments, and I must say it is very sad and it is very unfortunate that these people who have access to newspapers would use that opportunity and that platform to spew that kind of nonsense in the population. I must say it is very, very unfortunate that Dr. Hamid Ghani will not see that the government had blatantly refused to put in their 20-odd speakers, but would just narrow into MP Colm Imbert and MP Stuart Young, as though their contribution would have been more valuable than the 20 government ministers who refused to participate in the debate.
MP Gonzales, I just wanted to...
You can't take it. Honest, sorry to say, I don't want to be a politician or a member of parliament going down the road of criticizing these honorable gentlemen if they are honorable, but it is very difficult sometimes to ignore the level of hypocrisy from them. Very, very difficult. It is very unfortunate that they are given that platform to speak that kind of venom to the population, very much so, because they measure the PNM with one stick and they have a different measurement for the other side, that he could find a platform to talk about 2 MPs on the opposition who did not speak, but would ignore the fact that 20 government ministers did not participate in the debate, including the Honorable Prime Minister. How can you take it seriously?
Maybe he was probably asked that particular question by the Express. I'm not too sure. I'm just saying.
Please,
maybe he may have been responding to that particular question.
Please.
Let's
not make excuses for them.
MP Gonzales, the issue of the opposition leader being sent before the Privileges Committee.
Yes.
What exactly took place there? I know we kind of run out so much time dealing with that particular issue in Parliament. What about that issue? How is the opposition treating with that?
We are treating with this very seriously. We had a news conference on Saturday where I spoke, and thanks for raising this particular issue, because this is a very, very serious development in our Parliament. Again, it is in the same vein of what transpired with the budget debate, with the conduct of this government, or not to be ignored. So as soon as the leader of the opposition wrapped up her response to the budget, we were shocked because we observed that 15 or 20 minutes before she wrapped up, the speaker exited the chair to allow the deputy speaker to take the chair. Now, we were surprised because since this new parliament convened, this 13th parliament convened, this is the first time the deputy speaker sat in that chair.
Mm-hmm.
It's the very first time. I can tell you all this.
Okay.
So when we saw him exiting the chair, we thought that was a very interesting development. And then the deputy speaker came in. And as soon as the leader of the opposition completed her response, the deputy speaker rose and she read a prepared brief saying that she received a request from the leader of government business, which is Barry Padarat, to refer the leader of the opposition to the Privileges Committee based on a release from the leader of the opposition's office the week before, with respect to why we decided to walk out of Parliament the week before. And having received that request for leave, she granted leave for the matter to be raised. And not only granted leave, she considered the motion, and she has adjudicated that a prima facie case has been made out to refer the leader of the opposition to the Privileges Committee. We were shocked. That is not how this thing is done. So what normally happens in accordance with the standing order is that the member who is wishing to raise a motion on privilege against another member would write to the speaker in accordance with standing order 32.2, would write the speaker and ask for the speaker's leave to raise the motion on the floor of the Parliament. On the floor of the Parliament, it is not done in secret. So the speaker grants leave to the member, and very early in the next proceedings, the member would raise the motion by reading it out. And then the speaker will consider it not sitting in the chair. The speaker takes the motion, retires to his chamber at some point in time, and of course he would have the benefit of the staff of the Parliament and what have you to consider. And then the speaker will rule either in the same proceedings or a subsequent sitting, whether he or she is of the view that a prima facie case has been made out against the member, against whom the motion has been raised. And the speaker rules and then decides if a case has been made out. And if a case has been made out, the speaker will refer the member to the Privileges Committee. If a case has not been made out, the speaker will say so, and then that's the end of the matter. On this occasion, gentlemen, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, leave was sought. No one knew to raise the motion. There is no way on the Hansard of the Parliament that the leader of government business raised this motion on the floor of the Parliament. No recording of it. And worse yet, who decided that this matter should be given to the deputy speaker as opposed to the speaker? Because normally, if it is raised with the speaker, and when it is raised with the speaker would say, well, having regard to the content of this matter, I cannot rule on it, and therefore I will leave the chair and allow the deputy speaker. Okay. Nothing of that nature took place, perhaps behind closed doors or in some dark room, as I said, in the Parliament, that we have to discover where it is located. And then on top of that, the deputy speaker sitting in the chair is saying that she has determined that a prima facie case has been made out. It is a scandalous abuse of the standing orders of the parliament, and it is a public lynching of the leader of the opposition. It is the same conduct of the UNC between 2010 and 2015, when the UNC government used its majority in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago to suspend a sitting leader of the opposition. It is the same UNC government in 2010 to 2015 who used its majority in the Parliament that caused a sitting member of the government to bring a motion against a sitting leader of the opposition and say the most scandalous thing, Vanilla Allen Toppin, against Dr. Keith Rowley, and said the most scandalous thing about his father raping members of the family and what have you. They have not changed. They have gotten worse. And what transpired last week, Friday, in the parliament is a continuation of the UNC and their behavior by attacking political leaders and leaders of the opposition. And citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they will stand by to hear our response, because we will not allow that one to get away.
All right, well, Marvin Gonzales, this is where we're going to have to leave it this morning, because we ran out of time. I mean, interesting conversation. And of course, I'm sure we'll have you back, because I'm sure lots of things are going to happen. I want to get into the fiscal measures in the budget, because I have a lot more to talk about. Yeah, because we didn't discuss that. The actual content of the budget and what's the direction and the policy direction of the current government is taking the country, and what are the objections and what are the issues that the PNM has with it. So we still have that conversation due, so we'll have you back on Sydney to continue with that conversation, because it's important that citizens hear, even if they didn't hear it in Parliament, they'll hear it on the breakfast show, so that we get sides.
And I really do hope citizens have an appreciation as to what transpired that brought an abrupt end to the budget, all right, as well as what transpired with respect to the referral of the leader of the opposition to the Privileges Committee.
Yeah, that one sounds kind of crazy. I mean, I didn't realize that is what exactly happened.
That is exactly what happened. And we're not going to leave that one alone. Trust me on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, MP Gonzales, for joining us on the breakfast show this morning. All right.
I appreciate it.
All right. That last issue there with the Privileges Committee, I didn't realize that is how it happened. And anyway, Parliament, yes. You see that tune, Sir Charles Pearl, 7 o'clock? You can play that every day from now on. Anyway, we're going for the news, and when we come back, we'll say our goodbyes.
Oh, really? You remember that we had to go to the news?
I always remember.
I wasn't sure you remembered.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio and Guile Caribbean. I'm Derek. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessar says her government is creating over 20,000 jobs through a national recruitment drive now underway across the public sector. She says the initiative, which began yesterday, will fill vacancies in 25 ministries and state enterprises, with Phase 2 to come in partnership with the private sector, expected to create another 50,000 jobs. Applications can be made online via employtt.gov. TT or in person at the National Cycling Velodrome in Couva this week. The Prime Minister says the program aims to replace dependency on CPEP and URP with real long-term employment opportunities. She added that this is part of a wider Trinidad and Tobago revitalization program designed to stimulate economic growth and attract private investment. Prasad-Bissessar says, "This is not a promise wrapped in red tape. This is an action plan for every citizen." People's National Movement Chairman Marvin Gonzales has blasted what he called the public lynching of opposition leader Penelope Beckles after she was referred to Parliament's Privileges Committee immediately following her budget response on Friday. Speaking at Balasier House, Gonzales said no opposition member was aware that any motion had been raised against Beckles. Calling the move scandalous and disrespectful, to parliamentary procedure. He claimed standing orders were breached, insisting that such motions must first be approved by the Speaker and raised openly in Parliament, not decided behind closed doors. Deputy Speaker Dr. Ayana Ali had ruled that Beckles' statement about Speaker Jagdeo Singh's conduct showed a prima facie case for referral. Gonzales says the opposition checked Hansard records and found no record of the motion ever being raised. Acting Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin says there's no local intelligence suggesting citizens have any reason to worry, following a U.S. Embassy alert warning Americans to avoid U.S. facilities in Trinidad and Tobago over the Diwali weekend. Benjamin says police have received no additional information from U.S. authorities, but have increased patrols and tightened security at key sites, including Tantek and Wassa facilities. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur has slammed what he calls fake news spreading panic, including claims that the Prime Minister and Attorney General were moved to a safe house. Thakur says such reports are completely false and urged the public to rely only on official sources, not social media rumors. In regional news, the Jamaica Gleaner has criticized Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar for her government's stance on the U.S. naval buildup in the southern Caribbean and the threat of military action against Venezuela. In an editorial on Monday, the newspaper questioned why Trinidad and Tobago reserved its position on CARICOM's declaration, calling for the region to remain a zone of peace and for disputes to be settled peacefully. The Gleaner also condemned Persad-Bissessar's earlier remarks supporting the U.S., including her call for drug traffickers to be killed violently and her claim that a zone of peace was a false ideal. The editorial warned that such views could erode CARICOM's non-aligned stance and make regional countries complicit in hostilities, especially after reports that 2 Trinidadian fishermen were among those killed in recent U.S. military strikes. By contrast, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness was praised for advocating coordinated regional action that follows international law. Finally, in international news, 1 week after U.S. President Donald Trump was celebrated in Israel for brokering the Gaza ceasefire, tensions have flared again. On Sunday, the Israel Defense Forces launched a series of airstrikes across Gaza after 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in Rafah. Israel blamed Hamas, but the group denied involvement, saying it lost contact with fighters in the area months ago. At least 45 Palestinians, including children, were killed. Israel said the strikes targeted Hamas terror sites, while hospitals reported many civilian deaths. U.S. pressure reportedly kept the ceasefire from collapsing, and aid deliveries have since resumed. Trump's envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are back in the region, working on the second phase of his peace plan, calling for an international force in Gaza, Israel's withdrawal, and the disarmament of Hamas. Still, violence and mistrust threaten to unravel the fragile truce. And that's news at this time.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davantry tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rum Box. Drinking out of the box.
Don't miss Furniture Plus Inventory Blowout Sale. Get up to 65% off in-store and online. Enjoy massive savings on furniture, appliances, and more. Hurry, this deal won't last. Shop now and save big at Furniture Plus.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
Pay $1 down on higher purchase plans at Furniture Plus. Enjoy fast approval, low interest rates, and up to 36 months financing. Retirees, self-employed, and permanent employees apply today. Buy now, pay later with Furniture Plus credit plans. Conditions apply.
The public is demanding it, so the laughter continues. Your only foul to watch corn is now at Central Bank Auditorium for 2 nights only. Saturday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the play that some say is the funniest of all time. Tickets available now online and at the usual outlets. And from Monday, October 20th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily at the Central Bank box office. Your only foul to watch corn has been matching up audiences.
Yeah, Richard, your mic off.
Click back off.
Okay.
So we have, this is our ending off minutes on the, like 3 minutes. Ending off minutes on the breakfast show this morning. Of course, just reminding you that tickets are available at the usual outlets and at the Central Bank.
Hold on. Before you go there, because we see that we're in the moment, right? I just want to go back to that last situation. I don't think Mr. Gonzales was basically really understanding what I was trying to see in between there, because from what I was reading.
You really going back to that, Charles?
Yeah, and I feel I need to go back there and tell you why I need to go back there, right? After the government speaker spoke, I can't remember who was the individual that spoke. One of the, as I said, one of the low-level individuals benches, right? However to put it. After that person spoke, the speaker, from what I read in the newspaper, looked to the opposition for them to get up to speak, and they did not rise to speak. And that is when the speaker decided, well, if they have nobody to speak, he asked Mr. Tanku to wrap up.
You going based on a newspaper report, right?
No, but I have to think, because from what I was getting from Mr. Gonzales is that they had the last speaker and the government did not put up anybody to speak. But it was like that.
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said he looked across to the leader of government business and indicated to him for them to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they would come out, let them run out their speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader of government business obviously didn't want to do that. And obviously that's when it got to where it went.
Yeah.
And so my point was, why didn't you articulate it clearly for the Hansard? So you could have said, rather than do a gesture, my thing was, I understand what he said and how it eventually ended up, but why didn't you stand up and say, Speaker, we would like even though it's our turn to speak, we would like the government business to continue, the government side to continue, because we only have 5 speakers. Why wasn't it articulated? And then the government side said,
they did not say anything.
No, we want them to continue. So
they said nothing, and then expect that
he didn't say they said nothing. He said that they did indicate to them to continue, and they were ignored. Basically, that's what he's saying.
I think all you're missing something, The government clearly had a strategy, and it worked. And the strategy worked exactly if the speaker say wind up the debate, that's the end of that. That is what happened, They had a strategy, and their strategy works. We're not responding to all your thing and all your so that when we speaking after all, you have nothing to say.
No, it's not like that because what you. Yeah, but if the government spoke, Wendell, hold on. It's a very simple thing, The government talk, opposition talk. Government talk, opposition talk. If after government talk, it's time for all you to talk, and all you say nothing, all you then indicate.
It can't happen when the numbers are not even.
Well, to be fair to him, Sir Charles, he did say that he indicated to the leader of government business for them to continue with more speakers. Yeah. He did say that.
Yeah.
But my only thing was, I felt it should have been articulated. I like things to be clear. So if I should have stand up and say, look, or can we break because it's now 2 a.m. and and the
at
other
least say something like that.
If the government strategy included the speaker calling on you to wind up the debate, then that's the end.
No, before they got to that point when the speaker only got to that point when it looked like nobody else.
When nobody getting up.
Like they're not getting up to speak.
So now I'm saying it got to that point. So I just felt I understand what the opposition's position was, that they wanted some of the senior speakers. So I understand that, and that's perfectly legitimate. I understand that. But I just felt that the articulation should have been verbal.
They could have continued.
It should have been verbal rather than, it should have been more formally done. So that it's very clear what took place. But because it wasn't clear, it became people taking perspectives on this.
Yeah, I think I was blunt before, and I'm going to be blunt again. The government strategy worked. They outfoxed the opposition in terms of ending a debate that they don't have to respond to nothing, or they don't have to answer any questions. That's it, You understand?
Because, and if that is the case, because just as what they are going to do now, excuse me, go to one of their platform meetings to explain their side. If that is the case, they can very well get up in the parliament and say, well, okay, you want the power, we will continue to speak. Because
I don't think maybe they didn't expect that the speaker, and when the speaker was presiding, which would have been the deputy speaker, I think was presiding at that time, wasn't it?
I think the actual speaker was in the chair.
But the actual speaker was presiding.
Yeah.
So I
ask them to wind up the debate.
I don't think they expected that to happen.
Exactly. It worked.
And so that took them off.
Guys was saying he had to have been part. There's me. He may have been part. He may have been part of this strategy to end the debate there.
Well, I don't know. I think the speaker is less. I think the speaker is just
trying to gauge what is going on. It may have been. I said it may have been part of the strategy.
Yeah, I don't want to pass that on the speaker at this point. But I'm just saying that it just seemed that it should have been, every side should have been clearer. Especially for the Hansard recording it. So that you're clear what happened. But because of the vagueness of it.
But Richard, the thing about it, just as Mr. Gonzales said, they recognize that there's a strategy. So they recognize that when the government putting up all their lower level people to speak, and we have all our high level speakers to speak, and we don't want to talk to the low level people. So if they're recognizing that there's a strategy, they should have been more alert to something like that happening.
And do what?
If that is the case, if they wanted to speak, if the government is putting up nobody else, and they could have very well said, Richard said, well, we will continue to speak because we have people.
Yeah, but
but I understand what his position was. But my personal position was I still wanted to hear from somebody like Colin Member. And I wanted to hear from somebody like Stuart Young. Because you wanted Stuart Young to analyze what the issues were with energy. And just for the context against what the government position was.
You're right. So, but in reality, there is nothing to respond to if you don't hear from the minister, the line minister of that particular.
But no, that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree, Wendell. Because the Minister of Finance spoke for 3 hours?
Which the opposition leader already responded to.
I know, but still, a lot of the substance is in that big yellow book, like David Abdullah said. A lot of it is there. So you have enough information, even if the government is trying a strategy to whittle you down or to not have you actually respond to the people or want to hear what you have to say and contradict it, which is what they're saying. I still think that there was value to the citizenry to hear what Coleman had to say and what Stuart had to say about energy, particularly because those senior people. They've both been very involved in those portfolios.
I can't argue with that point you're making, but you know what? I can't argue with that point you're making. Actually, I just think the opposition was out-strategized by the government in terms of how the debate went. And that's the end of that. You understand?
Anyhow, Richard, go ahead as you do your wrap.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say, get your tickets early for your Don't Leave Out to watch corn. You want a de-stressor, you want something to make you laugh, you need to come to the show. As you can see, you can just go on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok to RSR Production Station. You can see all of the comments from, so many people who have attended the play so far. You can see some of the comments. Some people saying it's 15 out of 10. Some say it's definitely 10 out of 10. Excellent, best, funniest. Also the superlatives that have been fantastic for the cast and crew in this production. Get your tickets early. The box office at Central Bank opens from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily. Get your tickets. You can also purchase tickets online. Check RSR Productions Theatre on the various social media platforms. And of course, at the usual outlets, which I mentioned before. Have a fantastic day. Whatever you do, remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Because we'll have lots of exciting guests during the week. We are hoping to get the leader of the opposition herself to come on. So we'll see how it all plays out during the rest of the week. And of course, New Era TT Radio continues on the web, newerattradio.com and New Era TT Radio on TuneIn. So don't go anywhere. There's lots of excellent programming throughout the day. Over to you, Wendell.
Yeah, folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Just know that this parliament is not going to be a cakewalk for anybody, especially for this opposition.
It's going to be colorful for 5 years or 4.
Oh, yes.
A little less than 5 years now. 4.5.
It will be very colorful. Trust me. Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. Remember, you've only got one life. Live it. And if you could live some of it traveling to see different places in the world, please do so. All right? Bye-bye.
All right. Have a fantastic one. This has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line. Let's start the day.